Hello everyone, this is Tim Wilmot speaking. Thanks for joining me this evening, for this demonstration of the watercolor painting from start to finish. For those of you listening live, your microphone is on mute. As I have about 70 odd people on the session today, it would be quite noisy if I allowed you all to speak at the same time. So if you've got any questions or comments for me, please type those into the question section on your meeting control panel, which you might see in the top right corner of your screen, and I'll do my best to cover those at the end of the session, or if I have a pause along the way. By the way, if you ask a question, I would just give out your first name to protect your identity, so don't worry about that, and I'll do my very best to answer that question. Now, you as my attendees today, I'd very much welcome any feedback on the aspect of this demonstration, particularly the picture quality and sound quality and your overall experience. I'm actually, if anybody had attended my previous demonstrations, I'm actually at a different location now using a different internet connection, different lighting. So a few things are different, and I just want to, I'm still at the experimental stage just to check that all the technology hangs together. I'll try and give as much commentary as I go through describing what I'm doing, but please excuse me if there's any long periods of silence. I'm probably trying desperately to think what to do next. Also, this session is being recorded. After the presentation, you'll receive hopefully an email from our system with a link to the recording, which you can share with others if you want. And I'll also pop it up on YouTube as well. So my subject today is more of an urban scene. There we are. Hopefully you can see that all right. Excuse if there's any glare there. It might be because of the angle of my solitary light and the angle as it hits the board and then bangs right back into the camera. So my subject today is an urban scene. It's a little French town, and a number of people requested from my last session. I'd always welcome feedback on future subjects for future demonstrations. A number of people said, why don't you do cars? So I've got a few parked cars here. Stationary cars are a lot easier than moving cars. And also doing a car from the front or the back is a lot easier than from the side or at a funny angle. So that's why we're seeing a row of parked cars there. Now, you should, another new thing on the online, the live presentation today. So this is, if you're listening to this on YouTube, tough luck. There is a handout panel or section in that meeting control panel there. You might be able to, I'm not sure actually how it works. So you might be able to sort of just click on it, or you might need to download it, and you can actually see the JPEG image, one of my own photographs that I've taken recently. And as I always do with, or as I generally do with these pictures, is I try and do a little preliminary sketch just to find out, just to try and suss out what sequence I'm going to go through this painting. And here we are here. Hopefully that this little pencil sketch shows up. And actually, just move that to the side there. There we go. Hopefully you can still see that. But of course, the numbers is the sequence I'm going to try and go through. I may disturb that sequence, but I'll generally try and keep to that. So as you can see, sky first. Generally always work top to bottom, sky first. I'll bring down a little bit of a wash over the middle area there. Might leave a bit of a gap, and then do the number 2, do the road, the tarmac there. Then we'll, after the sky's had a little bit of chance to dry, we'll go in with the rooftops there. and go along there. And where's number 4? Oh, 4. There's the trees. So I'm not actually going to change the tree location. I did think about putting it over there and maybe putting the lights, just swapping those over, but no, I think the trees look quite nice there. There's sort of pollarded lime trees there. And number 5 will be the main body of the buildings, and the wash there down to the car tops. Then the cars themselves and their shadows. And then lastly, we've got, I'm going to introduce a couple of figures over here. We'll have less cars and a couple of figures walking in towards the composition, and chimney tops and their shadows last. Okay, so hopefully all that makes sense. Let's make a start on the pencil sketch. So I'm using a 2B pencil, and I'm just going to get in loosely the outline of the buildings and the cars and my couple of figures there. So I generally start from the left-hand side. I don't know why. Some people start with the main focal point, wherever it might be, but I tend to start at the on the left-hand side there, and trying to imagine the overall composition. And if I start on the left, I'm making sure I've got enough space on the right there, and I don't go too high towards the edge of the paper. Instantly, I've got these. You might be able to see these 4 corners here, making the demarcation of my paper. So, starting from the left-hand side, just very roughly. And the first building there, we've got a slight, where's my picture? It's sort of slightly, well, that one actually goes from top left to bottom right a little bit, but it sort of goes, generally speaking, in an upwards direction. I guess there's a little bit of a slope there. And then that tall chimney. I like old buildings with a little bit of a dip in the ridge. Gives them a bit more character. A funny angle with this roof. Chimneys again. And then the last roof on the right hand side. There we are, maybe a little bit of a chimney in there. Just get one in on the right hand side. Okay, and then now I'm going to try and draw a faint line where the base of the buildings will be, which will help me when I put in the cars. So it's kind of roughly there, and it's a sort of a upward slope of the base of the buildings. And my 2 figures are going to go in there somewhere, and then we'll put, where was my sketch? Yeah, so 3 cars, 2 figures, 1 car on the left, 2 on the right, and then that tree sort of somewhere there lurking behind that 3rd car. Right. So car number 1. I'm not sure what make model these cars are. Fairly generic cars. draw them in loosely. It's car number 1 and car number 2. Now we might turn this at a sort of different angle here. Maybe this has been parked badly, and then an even greater angle here. Like that, and shadows will be connecting those. Maybe the sun's coming from this direction, so yeah, there's a few little shadows going on there as well. That tree will be kind of in there somewhere. And my 2 figures, so doing the cars first, that gives me a bit of a reference point for the figures. And I sometimes think of when I do figures next to a car, the top of the roof sort of comes to sort of shoulder height, so it does help a little bit when doing figures. So let me just see where they're going to be a bit bigger because they're closer to us. So bit too big a head there. So that might be figure number 1. And figure number 2. Companion. Sort of loosely done in there. And there, shadows. So that sort of angle there. So their faces will be something like that. And there we are. Hopefully that's showing okay. Let me just check the webcam. Yeah, hopefully you can all see that okay. There's not too much glare on that. I might just indicate where some windows might be. Really, you know, being a French scene, maybe I'd try and get in a bit of a turquoise or a sort of light blue into, it's like a cerulean blue. Those shutters there, and you know, there's quite an obvious window there, but we're not do all the windows. We'll leave it fairly random. There's quite a nice one in the middle here, and one below that, and whatever is over here. And one maybe there, and then these blue shutters over this side. Right. Okay, let's now put some paint on. So I'm going to, for the sky, I'm going to use a medium mop brush. There we are, medium mop brush. And is that the right one? Yeah, use that one. Right, so medium mop brush. Sometimes I might wet the sky to get a more even wash, but because there's such a small area there, this time I'll not bother. So I'm just mixing up mainly cerulean here. And because the light's coming from the left, I'll try and get it stronger as we go over to the right. So oops. Gotta be careful with my markers there. Bit stronger over here. Try and avoid that, my little right angle. Right. Yeah, there's a nasty bit of a glare there on the sky. I do apologise for that. Maybe that will disappear as the paint dries. Hopefully you get the general idea. I'll just mop up some of this excess moisture here. And now we'll go in with a little bit of a sort of burnt sienna and a light red for the rooftops. I might go over the roofs again, just depending on how this appears. Let's get a bit of paper towel here. Right. It should dry. Get a bit of cad orange here for the should dry a little bit lighter than it is at the moment. Now just continue a bit of a darkish wash. Get out this bit of debris here. I think it's a bit of a remnant from some plein air painting I did yesterday. Right, just mix up anything here just to kind of take off the white paper. And then just loosely around those people. carefully around the tops of the cars. Actually, these cars can be covered over a bit. Just got a rogue hair on my mop brush, just going to extract this now. Right, now the road, which is, let's just go back to the photo, it's a sort of warm colour, you can see that. I guess every tarmac is different in colours. This is sort of a got sort of alizarin crimson in it and a bit of a blue, so let's do something along those lines. So this is alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue. I've got a slight slope on the board, a little bit shallower than I would normally have, so it's actually a little flatter than I normally have, so it's not paint's not sort of coming down the paper too much. Let's add a bit of red into that. Add a bit of burnt sienna in this. Just might leave a few bits of the paper there. Okay. just mop up the bottom there so it doesn't feed back. Just going to check the webcam. Oh, looks like we just slipped out of vision a bit. Just excuse me a second. There we are. Okay, back to the plan. So I was a bit undecided with the rooftops. I think those rooftops look all right actually, so I'm not going to go over those again. So I'm missing out stage 3 on my plan. So I'm going to go in with the wash on the buildings, and actually I'm going to speed up the process a little bit by using my hairdryer. So I'm just going to put myself on mute for a second. Right, back with you now. So next is the buildings, and what brush shall I use? I think a slightly smaller mop brush. What should I go for? Here we go with a fairly smallish mop brush there. Right, so a lot darker now. Where will I mix it? Let's do in the middle one. So this is ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. And start on the left-hand side here. Notice I'm adding in a bit of pigment as I go along. Just forgot to put in the trees, the lighter bits of the trees, so just make up a bit of quick green here. Right, continue with the buildings. Try and get a bit darker towards the base. Sort of a pinkish tinge to the buildings. Right, this is the careful bit. Just going to let the wash bleed in to the tops of the trees here. Right, carefully around the cars again. Here we are. And then we will put a little bit of a darker bit under the eaves. Let's wash out a little bit of colour here and there, just to add a bit more form to it. Right, let's let that dry on its own accord. I think that's all right. Then the cars. Let's use a slightly stiffer brush for these. So I've got a medium mop here, but this is a synthetic brush. Let's get in some windscreens. Now this one, get rid of that hair. This one on the left hand side is probably catching a bit more light, so start off fairly light, and then we'll get dark as we go over to the left. And then screens for these. And then car colours themselves. I'll make this one sort of a reddish car. Then we'll have a bluish car there, and let's have a similar car on that side. Right. Now let's add in the car shadows, which is going to be quite dark. Actually cheating here by using a bit of neutral tint. It's going to bleed into the body of the car. And then the next one. Let's give an indication of some wheels on this one. Right. There's the cars. Just dabbing out a bit of paint here and there. A bit more to the texture. Okay, let's, what's next? So I've done the cars. Actually, while some of the buildings are still quite damp, I'll not go in with the windows yet. Could actually add in a bit of cerulean on the left-hand side one, on the right, sorry, on the right-hand side one. Let's use a synthetic brush and go in with a bit of cerulean. Now let's do the people. I normally start off with their faces first. Got a bit too much water between them there. Let's get rid of that. Right, faces. And then maybe some indication of arms. something like that. And then left-hand figure first. And maybe the right-hand figure would be a little bit lighter. Now, legs. Lost my pencil lines now, I can't see where the legs were. Have to sort of okay. Putting a bit of hair on that one. And shadows for the figures. Which is sort of purplish colour. And we will go move this up a bit. Here we'll go. And that. Right, chimneys. Make it quite dark. Adding a bit more blue for the shadows. And I might now just get out a very fine brush. If I've got it here somewhere, right, there we are. So a sort of rigger brush, or this is a sword brush, gives me a very fine line. Might put in some details of the tiles, not too much, not try and paint in every single detail. Where's my picture? Yeah, so I've got some tiles going that way and then they're coming this way, and a bit of an exercise in perspective as well. I'll do for that. And then that roof there. Maybe a few aerials and things. Right. Well, I've got this brush. It's just and a bit more detail there with the road. Bit of a gutter or a ridge in the surface there. Add in some red for, oops, forgot enough red. Red. The car tail lights. And now let's add in some windows. Some sort of timber stuff on that building there. And going to put in those. I'm going to put in the street lights. This sort of circular ball lights there, and I'm going to cheat a little bit with some white gouache use a fairly small synthetic brush for this. And I've lost my white gouache. Where is it? Here it is. Let's put this sort of around about there. I might just add a bit more. Well, I've got this white gouache on the brush. Make some window details. Not too much. That one there. Right, nearly there. Maybe there's a little bit of a glisten on there. Bumpers there of the cars. Let's add a bit more white gouache there. Right. Oh, let's just one final thing. Let's add just spotted something. Let's add some dry brush strokes with sort of tile marks again, not overdo it. Right, I think we're nearly done. Can't think of much else to do to this. Right, I'm done. That's it. So hopefully you like that. Oh, I forgot to, I don't think I did this in the start, just put in the colors I've used there. Hopefully that aligns quite well. Let's put it up a little bit more. There we are, just for reference purposes. And I will just put myself on mute again. I want to do some final drying. Hang on a second, then we'll have a questions and answers session. Just hang on there, please. Okay, I'm back with you. So now, if you've got any questions there, please pop those into your question panel, and I'll do my best to answer those as best I can. Actually, just while you're thinking of any questions, I'm just going to see if I can unpeel this tape. So just gradually from the side there, and let's see if I can get the top bit done as well. It's really strong masking tape today. There we are. That should be okay. There we are. All done. Oops. Get back. Okay, so let me just see what questions are coming in there. So first question from Shannon, what make of brushes do you use? Well, many of them are Escoda. You can see that. Some are Jackson's, but it's a general sort of squirrel mop brush, and you can get this type in many manufacturers of this type. And is there another type? No, those are the main types, the Skoda and Jackson. The Skoda, there's a mixture of synthetic and sort of squirrel mop brushes. Question from Gerard: do you ever use raw umber? No, I did use it once. I just found it to be a little bit sort of muddy. So no, Gerard. Irma's asking, how often do you do these demos? It's about once every 2 months or so. But if you go to my website, timwilmot.com, got my contact details here somewhere. I'll come back to that. Here we are. Briefly, timwilmot.com. You'll see notifications. I'll put up a post on the next up and coming presentation. Right, next question from Donald. What kind of paper you're using? It is Saunders Waterford, which is a cotton type paper, and it is rough texture. The weight is 300 grams or 140 pounds. And there's two sides to the paper. Oh, you won't be able to see, but there's a sort of there is a watermark on the Saunders Waterford, and as you look at the paper to the light, you'll see the watermark there. So that's the sort of preferred side of the paper, but you can paint on both sides. So it's Saunders Waterford. I have used Bockingford before, but Saunders Waterford is actually quite good. Next question from, that's Cyril's asking the same question there. Hopefully that answers you both. What angle is your board from Bill? It is about 15 degrees or so quite shallow. I prefer it to be more like 30-40 degrees, Bill, but because of the camera angle, it would have gone a bit skew with, if you see what I mean. Question from Rachel: would masking fluid at the start have worked with the lights? Yes, it would, but I've always had problems with masking fluid in that it never goes to the right place, and I make a mess of the brush, and I just prefer a more spontaneous bit of gouache, or just try and carefully paint around things. Actually, what I could do with those lights is actually go in again just with a bit of a highlight. Now it's dried. So again with white gouache in here. There. Try and give them a bit of a sparkle there. Right, hopefully that answers your question, Rachel. Joseph is asking, I usually have problems getting darks like the dark wall of the buildings in your painting. What colors did you use for that? I started off, Joseph, with you're asking also, do you have any tips for getting darks? I started off with ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. And generally speaking, if I add a bit of alizarin crimson, a small proportion of alizarin crimson, mostly ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt sienna, that actually can get quite dark. If it's not dark enough for whatever reason, then I do go for a little bit of neutral tint, which added with another color, not just pure neutral tint, but that generally gets a really dark, and it really shows out against a lighter tone. Terry's asking, what brand of watercolor do you use? It is Winsor Newton, almost exclusively. Yeah, Winsor Newton. question from Donald. Any opinions about not using cadmiums and other opaque pigments? Well, I know there's a lot of debate going on about cadmium as an ingredient or a component of paints at the moment. Not sure which way the debate has gone. I just find they're quite bright colors, high degree of permanency. I've just always tended to use cadmium, especially cadmium red. It's quite a bright red there. Question from Jim. Missed the first few minutes. What brand of paints do you use? Oh yeah, Jim, it's Winsor Newton. Right, I think that's the last question then. So hopefully everyone enjoyed that, got something out of it. Maybe I got something out of it as well. Watch out for if you really want to listen to watch it again. You'll get an automatic email with a little URL link to the recording. I will pop it up on YouTube as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you go to timwilmot.com, you'll get all the relevant information about the next up and coming presentations there. But thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for your time, and have a good day. Thank you very much.